So, how do I set up an auto reminder on Gmail? Oh, gee, I don't know what that one is. I don't know if I have enough context for this. Auto reminder. All right, I think I'm going to have to skip that one. But the person that asked that, if you could maybe let us know exactly what you're asking about there, that would be very useful for me. Thank you. Okay, so next question. Do you provide your team with laptops or do they use their own? How do you manage privacy and data protection? How do you protect financial information in PDFs that may be stored in Google Drive? Okay, that's a couple of questions there, but very worthwhile answering each one of those. So first question here, do we provide our team with laptops? No, we typically have a team that bring their own devices to work. Some of our senior leaders and executives, we issue devices to them, but for most people, they tend to be used to working online already and tend to bring their own devices. Now, our team is primarily based in the Philippines. We've got quite a large team and everyone works from home or from where they like. So they may be working from a co-working space, they may be working from a kind of like startup hub. They may be working from a cafe from time to time if they're not in a customer-facing role where they need to be taking phone calls. And so our team have a lot of flexibility in how they work. And for some of them, they've already worked online. They'll have a computer that they like using. They bring their own machine. I think the broader question here to answer though is, do we implement any data protection policies on those machines? How do we manage those machines? The good part about the way that we work is for our business, most of our work is done online in the Google ecosystem. And so inside of Google Workspace, you've got your Gmail, you've got your Drive, you've got your calendar. Most of your stuff is happening online and in the browser. So the number one thing that we do is we make sure that anyone who wants to access any of our services is signing into their Google Chrome browser. And what that looks like is I'm here in my Google Chrome. If I click on the picture here in the top right hand corner, it's going to show you my business account or my business email account signed in to my Google Chrome. And what that lets me do is set up a number of automatic policies for the user that is signed into that Chrome. So I may choose to say things like force them to use a certain password manager and disable the Chrome password manager, right? That's going to help protect your data a little bit from people accidentally saving customer information into a password manager on a local desktop. Or you may say in your admin panel again, only allow devices that have been manually authorized by an administrator to access somebody's account. So every time someone signs in on a new device, a little pop-up comes to you, the administrator, in the admin panel, and that actually restricts that device from accessing the Google Workspace data until you've approved it. And if you don't know where to switch that on, I think we may go and switch that one on together now, because that's a good one to know how to do if you're interested. So we'll go to our admin panel, admin.google.com. Obviously, you need to be a super administrator for that. It's asking me for my passkey to sign in. Thank you, Google, for the extra security. And then I'm going to, like most things, just search for the option that I'm looking for. Because search is the fastest way to find things in the admin panel. There are a lot of settings here. So let's go ahead and search for approvals. We're looking for device approvals. There we go. It's shown up for me. And you can see here, that's the actual approvals. I think I need to switch on the policy. We don't currently have this switched on. Try again. So searching for device approvals. And here you'll see the setting is under devices, mobile endpoints, universal settings, and then security. So here we have device approvals. So if I wish, I can choose to switch this setting on, and that will be applied to all of the devices within my organization. Now, you'll notice here there is a little flag, and that says that this only applies to businesses with Workspace Business Plus, or if you're using Cloud Identity Free. So what that means is that you can apply this to your users only if you've paid extra for the Business Plus licenses for Workspace. Some of the mobile device managers are restricted to this account. If you're on Enterprise, you obviously get it out of the box here. but it also applies to cloud identity users. Cloud identity users are a little bit different. We've got a number of videos on our channel covering cloud identity. You can search for that on the channel, but they don't come with a mailbox or Google Drive. So basically, Google will give this to you if you've just letting someone sign in for like a single sign-on type application, but you don't get it if you're on Workspace Basic on the basic business plan or the standard business plan, only on the Plus plan. But worthwhile if you've got a larger team. Let's say you've got more than 20 or 30 employees and you want to really start locking down the way that people work. The other thing that's useful here is if you've got a large team, you want to start to think about, okay, well, how do I manage these endpoints and how do I manage these devices? So we obviously install antivirus and a basic endpoint management software on each one of the computers. We don't track time, so we don't track keyboard activity or mouse clicks or screenshots or anything like that. That's against the principles of what we believe of managing a remote team. But we do make sure that the endpoint is protected from things like malware, things like keyloggers, anything external that might start to get into someone's account and therefore risk company data being exposed. So we're pretty careful about that, and we would recommend that you are as well. If you're interested in that kind of endpoint management, click the link below and get in touch with our team because we can help out with that. One of our businesses, On-Site Helper, which is part of the itGenius group, helps with endpoint management for organizations using Google Workspace. So if you're interested, click on the link down below this video and you can get in touch for a consultation with our team. All right, so let's finish this question though. There's lots to cover here. The second part of this question is how do I manage and protect financial information? I've covered the basics of that. I'd say the other thing that's really important that we apply in our business is managing permissions well. And so access to resources is something that's really important to get right. You don't want to be loose with that, and you don't want to have a culture of everyone in the business just sharing things willy-nilly. We've been really deliberate in building a culture of group-based permissions and using organizational structures to make sure that those permissions are adhered to. And we've got a really great video if you're interested in actually setting that up yourself. I'll show you where that is on the channel. I won't go through all of those now because it's like a 30-minute training. But if you search for Drive permissions on our channel, you're going to find let me see, this one here, yeah, 30 minutes, how to get your Drive permissions right. That tutorial will take you right through how to set up organizational units, group-based permissions, and how to deploy those group-based permissions to both your calendar and your Google Drive and any other resource sharing that you want to within your organization. And our philosophy around organizational structure and managing permissions inside an organization is simple policies but strong enforcement. So a simple policy might be something like, okay, in our business, we don't share documents one by one. We only share documents by putting them in the appropriate shared drive. And that's a simple policy. It can be easily communicated to anyone on the team. And with that policy, it means that you can also strongly enforce it. It's a simple policy. Everyone should know it, and you can strongly enforce it. Now, from time to time, we'll have someone new who joins the business and they don't remember to do it. One of our copywriters put a file in the wrong folder and left a file in their My Drive when they shared it into a task the other day, and that's okay. We just reiterate the policy. Okay, could you please move this into the shared file? And not only does that make it easier to help you find things, but it ensures that everyone follows a basic but well-secured policy and, let's say, ethos around managing data inside your business. And when you get compliance with a simple policy like that that is inherently secure, it means that you've got less chance of files and documents going missing. Now, I've got other videos on the channel if you've right now got a bunch of files all over the place and you're worried about how many files may be shared externally. Just search for external files and you should find that video, and you'll be able to do a bit of a cleanup if you're in the process of needing a cleanup right now. Love how deep we're going with this question. Okay. Final one, how do you protect financial information in PDFs that may be stored in Google Drive? Now, this is an interesting question because this may be leaning into the territory of compliance for particular industries. And that's where, if you're based in Australia, you need to adhere to something called Australian privacy principles. If you're a small business and you're less than a couple of $1 million in revenue, they're a little more lenient on you. But if you're a large business or if you're a law firm in financial services, or maybe even handling somebody's personal information in a healthcare industry setting, for example, you need to be very, very careful with how you manage someone's personal information. There are very strict laws, and there are also pretty severe penalties if, for some reason, due to your lack of IT management, someone's personal information is exposed to the internet or to bad actors. And so you want to be very careful with this. Now, hashtag I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you exactly how to stay out of jail, but what I can tell you is some strategies that we employ inside of Google Workspace. Now, the first one is having good security principles, making sure that you've got the right password policies set up, making sure that you've got two-factor authentication enabled and enforced for everyone in your business. Plenty of videos on that in the channel. You want to make sure that you've got your permissions set up in Google Drive and your group-based permissions, and you've got some basic IT policies that are keeping things secure. But one of the other things that you can do, which is a distinct feature of shared drives, is actually lock down certain drives so that personal information can't even be downloaded or exported from the business at all. And that's a feature allowing every file in the drive to be restricted from downloading or copying. Let me show you where that one is, because I think it's an important one to share for this case. So let's go ahead into my drive here. And inside my drive, you'll see that I've got a bunch of shared drives set up. And inside each one of my shared drives, I've got a bunch of settings. Now, let's go, for example, to our team training drive. I think this is the best example of this that every single business would be using. You may also choose to switch on this permission if you have a, let's say, client drive, and you've got client documents in there that include personal information. That would be another one that would switch on this setting for, just to make sure you've got things very, very tidy and well contained. To access the drive settings, I right click and then I go to my shared drive settings. And then from there, you can see here that this box, which would normally be ticked, allow viewers and commenters to download, print and copy files, has been unticked. Now, this is our training drive where we store all of the intellectual property of our company, how we onboard staff, how we do things inside our business, and all of our secret sauce is basically kept inside this folder. Think of it like the 13, secret herbs and spices of itGenius. We want to make sure that we keep them well secured. So if a contractor is working for us or someone's just been in their first few weeks and they decide to rip us off and steal the business, or they're really a secret spy that's been planted by one of our competitors, this will stop them from disappearing with the work easily. Now, I say this will stop them from disappearing with the work easily because they can still disappear with the work. You can't stop someone from taking a screenshot or recording their screen and having that personal information potentially, or any of your other business intellectual property, stored and taken out of the business. It's pretty much impossible to stop that, unfortunately, but the great thing about Google Workspace is, for the most part, most actions that happen in any of the files inside your business are actually logged to the admin audit log. So if you are suspicious that a staff member or a contractor has maybe taken some actions that you don't really want to happen on some files, you can actually see everything that's happening inside the files in your business. So we're going to go to our admin panel, and inside the admin panel, we will go to security. You can see here, actually, I've got a feeling it's not in security. I've got a feeling it's in reporting. Okay, so we're going to go to the reporting menu, and in the reporting menu here, you can see there's an overview screen, which is going to give you some basic graphs on different usage of different apps and how much storage your team are consuming. That is all well worth having a look at every now and again, just to see if there's any anomalies. But we want to look here into audit and investigation. And we can see here that there are admin log events for every different area of the business. Now I'm going to go into my Drive log events, and that's going to show me things that are happening inside of Google Drive. That's going to allow me to see any file that was modified, downloaded, uploaded, changed, deleted from any user within my business. Now you can see here that multiple people are changing documents pretty much in real time here inside the business, and these are happening down to the second. We have many people in our business who are doing lots of things right now, and if I wanted to filter it for a particular person, let's go ahead and search for what let's try Gypsy. Actually, I probably shouldn't search our CEO on on a public live stream. That might be a security risk. Okay, let's see what Gypsy's up to. All right, cool. So we've got documents here, booking a meeting. I don't know what kind of document that would be, but I wonder what's been changed. Here we go. Cool. Okay. So Van at itGenius has been editing a document. All right, wonderful. We've found out what was happening. So you can see here with the drive log, like you get all of the granular information that you need on anything that's happening to a file or a set of files or all of the actions taken by a particular user. So if you need to do a bit of an audit or an investigation, that's where you would go. Wonderful question here. We covered a lot there. That I think was a little mini masterclass in security and privacy management policies for Workspace. Love that question. That's a really good one. I'm going to mark that one as complete. Okay, so here is an excellent question from Brian. For a health clinic, do you believe that having each user have their own email address and then delegating them to access a central mailbox or support email is a good idea so that you can see who has responded to the email and taken control of the conversation? Or, I assume there is an or, should I just create a shared mailbox that multiple people can access? Now, I've seen this many, many times because we've worked with literally thousands of small business owners, and many of them have been in the medical or let's say, allied health, clinical type business. And they typically will have a number of clinicians, whether they're physiotherapists or they're doctors, and they're kind of working in the back seeing patients, right? But then they'll have people in the front managing the reception desk. And what happens there is typically there's 2 or 3 people who are either university students or they're doing an apprenticeship or they're there, part-time because they've got a family to look after. And they are all sharing the responsibility of being on reception at the front of the business. Sometimes people will even be rostered to do part delivery and part managing the front desk as well. Gone are the days when I started my business in 2007, right after the crash actually, where people used to have a full-time receptionist and they would just sit there and answer calls all day long. The world has changed now, right? So in that case, where you have multiple people that are effectively sharing a mailbox, the best thing to do is to delegate access to that mailbox to those multiple people. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I'll go through the most obvious ones first, and then I'm going to go through some non-obvious ones that you may not have thought of. Let's do a quick drawing here for those that are new to delegating mailboxes. I'm going to open up my Jamboard and let me show you how I would manage delegating mailboxes. Let me just make sure I'm in the right document here. It has not yet loaded my doc. Still thinking. Okay. There we go. Okay, so in a business, if we have our office at mailbox, I like to think of these as buckets of email. So each user account in your business is effectively a bucket of email. If I want to share that, would create multiple buckets. So a bucket here for Peter, a bucket here for Bob, a bucket here for Sarah, a bucket here for Anne. And if all of these people are needing to access that office at mailbox, we would delegate access to that mailbox to each one of those people. Now I've got about 10 videos on the channel about mailbox delegation. I'm not going to cover it again on how to do it. You can go and find how to get that done. Otherwise my team might cut in and, I don't know, cut this one in the repeat of this. But that's how we delegate a mailbox to multiple people. Each one of those people can then access this mailbox without having to know the password. And they access it from their own accounts, which is pretty straightforward. Let me show you what that looks like in my own email. So here I am in my own mailbox. I'm going to click onto my account in the top right hand corner, and you'll see here that I have multiple accounts that are delegated to me that I can access. And if I want to access them without the password, I click one button, it opens in a new tab, and hey presto, I've got access to the mailbox. Now, why would we do that instead of just having one single mailbox for everyone? Because effectively we're paying for 5 mailboxes here instead of just one. Well, number one reason is for security. You want to make sure that you're not sharing any passwords in plain text inside your business. Inevitably, when passwords get shared, people are less inclined to keep them updated and refreshed every 90 days or every 180 days, which is a good idea for something like a mailbox, because they don't want to inconvenience their staff, right, or their team members. And what tends to happen is that mailbox will just be kept open to the world, to all of those people that are using it. Inevitably, someone might leave your business and you may forget to change the password. You're probably not going to bother setting up two-factor authentication because that's going to annoy people if it's just tied to one mobile phone anytime you want to access it. And that creates a pretty bad security risk for your business. Most of the security, let's say, vulnerabilities that exist inside the Google Workspace ecosystem, although I'm very careful to use the V word, is actually through social engineering of humans. And what that means is that it's humans doing dumb things. It's not an inherent flaw in the system or the software. It's humans being tricked into doing something. And when you've got a username and a password that's pretty much open, it can be easy for someone to get into that Google account if it's not protected with two-factor authentication. It also goes to say that if someone has somehow got a virus or a piece of malware installed on that computer and they start to log the keystrokes of the computer happening in the background, well, what that means is that someone can access that account without a second factor device. Therefore, they've got access to your business. And one of the most common scams going at the moment is an email from a legitimate user, a legitimate staff member, going to a business owner saying, hey, it's really urgent, we need to pay this bill, and we need to make sure the supplier is paid on time, otherwise they're going to cut off our supply. And that happens from a real email address inside your business with the name of a real supplier that you recognize. And so if you're a business owner and you receive that email, it may even be the time of the month when you would normally pay that supplier. Are you really going to go back and check every single invoice and every single account number as you pay every single bill? I know that I personally don't. And that means that it can be pretty easy for someone, once they have access to email, to filter money outside of a business. You've got to be really, really careful with this these days. And this is one of the easiest ways that people get access to accounts and run that kind of phishing scam. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, in a small business, you've got lots of people who are involved. Some people work part-time, some people work full-time, some people may work remotely from home, some people may be contractors outside the business or even consultants that come in and out from time to time. Everyone ideally wants to feel like they're a part of the team that they're working on. And if your business is just issuing one email address to 5 people that's reception at your business, well, they're only ever going to feel like their identity in the business is reception at. If you want to foster a team environment where your team are contributing to culture, where your team are spending time, contributing to the business with their energy, with their personality, if you just give 5 people one work personality, well, that's going to limit them a little bit there. So my strong persuasion for you is to consider giving every person their own identity in the business, because that means things like group chats keep everyone feeling more connected with their own name. Now, if you're the kind of business owner who has, user one or manager one or operations at your business, that's okay to have those email addresses set up for your customers to only use one, central email address to get in touch with you. I understand staff come and go, but I wouldn't give your staff an operations at email address or admin at email address as their primary mailbox, because that removes their identity. Give them an identity with their name, and if you need to set up an alias for the operations mailbox for that to come into their account, that's totally fine. Or the other option, like I've suggested here, is setting up a delegated central shared mailbox, and that can be shared to multiple staff members who can access it. And yes, you can see who's replied to those emails, who's managed those emails, and it gives you one place for all of those emails to exist and be kept accountable for multiple staff members to work on. Great question, love that one. Big hello to TG, who is on the live stream. Thanks for joining. Asking, I was trying to test an email migration from IMAP. Oh, the message has been retracted. It's just disappeared. Okay. Thanks for the question anyway. I'm not sure exactly what that one was, but we'll cover it another time. Okay. I'm going to try and find a great question that I saw asked before the question started, before the live stream started, sorry. But we have so many questions here, it's getting a little bit out of control. All right. Let me see if I can find it. I received an email from outside. Okay, I haven't found it. My team are going to have to bring that up for the next one, but that's okay. We'll move to our next question here. Anonymous asks, I saw you mention Copper in one of your videos for contact management. I'm currently using Copper, but having issues with duplicate contacts and adding contacts from LinkedIn. I'm in Canada and have contacts coming in with US locations. What would you recommend? Great question. I don't have a very solid or long answer for you here. I do know that the AI-driven feature of Copper CRM that automatically finds contact details on your customers and brings that into the CRM tends to be a little US-centric. I don't think it's because it's necessarily geo-located to the US as a defined area. It works for us most of the time here in Australia, but we do find some weird things happen from time to time where it will favor a US business rather than Australian businesses. And many of our customers are here in Australia, and so unfortunately it gets it wrong sometimes for us. I don't have a solution for that, but I do have one way that you can get access to support to find a solution, and that is to get in touch with our team. Click on the link down below this video, book in a consultation, and let them know the problems that you're having. They may have some options for support for you if you haven't already spoken to Copper directly. But our team are pretty good with Copper. We're a global small business partner for Copper CRM. So if you have any specific questions about it, we would be happy to help out. Okay, another question from Kathy. I'm confused about the OU and group setup. Is shared drive in OU with group allowed access? Do the members of the group have to be in the OU? If so, can they access shared drives in other OUs? Okay, good question. I will give you a very high-level overview of groups quickly here because I think it's important for everyone to understand how they work. But the way that we set up permissions inside of Google Workspace in Google Drive is a little bit different to what you're suggesting. It's not strictly based on the organizational units that are built into Google Workspace. So first up, before I get into this, it's important to understand that there are two types of groups inside of Workspace. There are your organizational units, and those organizational units can be used for some security group features. There's a few intricacies that I haven't fully got my head around yet. But number two, there are distribution groups, and those email-based distribution groups are very handy for using for permissions. And so the permissions that you configure inside Google Drive, I tend to use distribution groups for rather than organizational units, because organizational units' primary purpose inside of Google Workspace is setting permissions for different levels of access to resources and different settings inside the admin panel. Let me show you the difference and how they work. So I'm going to jump into my admin panel here. Let me start from the scratch. Accessing the admin panel via admin.google.com. Here we're going to go and look for my, where do we have it here? Organizational units. So that's in our directory, and then organizational units. Okie dokie. All right, I'll come back to your question, TG. So here you can see we've got multiple organizational units inside our account. And as an example, when I click onto the users menu, you'll see in those organizational units, I can have separate staff living inside those organizational units. Now, we can apply particular policies to these organizational units. So, for example, if I want to jump into my security settings for something like password authentication and two-step verification, Actually, I'll give you an example that we've actually used. If I want to go into my password management policy, you'll see here that across the company, we have strong passwords enforced, and we have a password policy expiry of every 30 days. And that's because the staff in our business are handling a lot of customer information. We want to be really stringent with how quickly we cycle passwords for our staff, just in case there was any chance of a breach for our business. However, for executives who are handling less customer information, we have that expiry set currently for once per year. So that's the duration that we have those cycled for. Now, you'll see at the top level, I've set a policy. By default, if I go to any of the other organizational units, it's just going to basically use the main policy unless otherwise configured. So it's going to revert to the parent policy. But in the executive here, I've chosen, and you'll see here it says overridden, I've chosen to overwrite the policy here. So let's go to another one where it's been inherited. This password management has been inherited. If I chose to change for the attract team here, that would override this, and that's going to change that password policy to overridden. Okay, I won't do any more on that for now. Let's move on to setting up the groups, where the groups are. So to set up a group, they live here in your groups in directory. And groups are where we set permissions that we then apply to our Google Drive. So you'll see here that I've got a group for Attract, which is our marketing team. You'll be able to see there's 10 members in the marketing team, and it has its own dedicated email address. And we apply these to our shared drives. So if I jump into my shared drives here, all the drives for the company are here for the different areas of business. If I go to our Attract team shared drive, and I go to my members, you'll see here there's 6 groups that have been added here, and you'll see the group that I showed you in the admin panel has been added, and they are set with a particular level of access. Now, we've got executives in a group, they have a higher access. We've also got some external contractors in there. These all have the appropriate access. So organizational units tend to be used for settings in your admin panel and applying policies to groups of users in the admin panel. Distribution groups or directory groups tend to be used for permissions. Now, there is a little bit of a red herring, or I wouldn't say red herring, spanner in the works here. And that is that Google are now allowing you to have more of the distribution group features, such as permissions for certain resources, applied to organizational units. And they're calling organizational units groups of staff, so it gets a little bit confusing. We keep it simple for now because I haven't bothered going into the detail of it, to be honest, of the different intricacies of doing it in the organizational units. But if you have any questions, or you think I'm doing this in a dumb way and we should check and update it and do it differently, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and I look forward to being schooled on that. Okay, cool. Good question. What's that saying? The cobbler's children have no shoes. We don't always get around to every single setting inside our own Google Workspace app. Do what I say rather than what I do. No, I don't think that's the right attitude. Okay, so let's look at the next question. Okay, TJ on the live stream had a question. All right, one of my clients needs to migrate their email accounts from an IMAP server to Google Workspace. I didn't see that listed on your channel. Can you demonstrate? Yes, good question. So we don't have any demonstration videos on that because, to be honest, it's a multifaceted, specialized process. That is our whole business model. We have not yet put all the inner workings of our IP out on the internet because, for the most part, it takes people who've done it 10 times not to either, 1, bugger it up, or 2, spend all weekend doing it with unnecessary roadblocks and getting stuck in certain areas, and potential for data loss and potential to make a mess. We are at some point potentially going to release our how-to for free to the internet. We're working on that, but it'd kind of be like giving you some bricks and some timber and some concrete and saying, there you go and build a house. I wouldn't trust you to build that house for me if you're not a builder. So we use third-party tools to make it happen. I think the team are using Migration Wiz these days as one of the primary tools. Our particular process of migrating email is not something that we, share publicly. If you want to spend time reading the Google migration guides, go ahead. But that's the reason we haven't put that on the channel. If you're interested in getting some professional help with migrating mailboxes, our team do it cloud to cloud. It's a very easy process. You don't have to lift a finger yourself. Our team just all get it done for you. It is very, 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 very reasonably priced. So I'd recommend having a chat to our team, even if you're a sole trader. And if you're interested in a migration, we have special pricing that's not on the website for sole traders. And so we've got options for you if you're interested in a migration. So reach out, have a chat to our team, just let them know what your situation is, and they'll help you with as little or as much of that project as you would like. And we try and make that affordable and accessible to everyone. Good question. Unfortunately, it's not something that we share yet. It's one of those things where I'm hesitant to say, yeah, sure, go ahead, you can do it yourself. Not just because we have a business, yeah, sure, obviously we have a business, but we can support many, many more people who don't want to pay the money, who just want to do it anyway, if we were to put it out there and online. We're trying to find a way to do that where we're not going to, let you build a dangerous house, basically. So I'm very careful with what we choose to put out there as instructional videos on the internet for whoever to go and do it. Because I don't want someone to come back to us and say, oh, I accidentally lost all my emails, or I accidentally got, double ups of, my past 10 years of emails, and I've got 500,000 emails that are a mess, because that's the kind of shit that goes wrong if you don't know what you're doing. Good question, though. Sorry I couldn't help with that specific question. All right. Next question is from Colette. I'm having issues with Google Business account. I've changed my address and I've given them proof, but they've replied twice saying the email address for my business account doesn't match up. It's a Gmail address. It does because it's the one I use for my business. Please, can you help? Okay, that's very interesting. So a couple of things here. I don't have all of the context of this issue or what's going on here, but there's a few things to cover. Number one, if you're using a Gmail address for business, please do not do that. I've got a couple of videos on the channel on why you shouldn't. Go to the channel, search for Gmail, and you'll see why it's a terrible idea. I think it's one of our top videos actually on the channel. Yeah, look at that, 200,000 views. Why you should not use Gmail. Basically, there's the chance that Google are just going to switch off your email at any point. Very, very hard to recover. There's 2 billion Gmail users, and there is not a great support help desk. So don't risk losing your business data by using a consumerpersonal@gmail.com Gmail account for your business. Now, if you're saying Gmail, but you really mean Google Workspace because you're actually using a business email domain for your Workspace account, okay, you're probably safe there. There are ways of getting back into your account if you are stuck out of the account. If you're locked out, you can click a button down below this video, head along and grab one of our quick fixes. Our team will help you facilitate the process of getting back into your account there's a number of different recovery methods that us as a reseller can do that the general public doesn't have access to. You can also use what's called the DNS recovery method. If you Google that, you'll be able to find how to get back into a Google Workspace account where you've either forgotten the administrator password or you're locked out because, I don't know, Google have done something weird and switched your account off. That will help you get back into the account. But if you've changed your address, I don't know exactly what that means in this question, which is a bit of a challenge here. I don't know if it means that you've changed like your business address, or did you change your domain name maybe and you didn't verify the domain name? Yeah, this one's a little bit, I wish I had more information to help you out more. This one's a little bit unclear on exactly what it is. I think that's all I can do to help. Sorry, I couldn't be of more help there. I've done my best with that one. Okay. I have a problem with my Google Workspace domain email. I received an email from outside the email organization. When I reply to the email, the recipient doesn't get a reply. How do I solve it? That is a very interesting question. So email delivery issues are typically related to settings somewhere in your domain name. However, it takes two to tango. And unfortunately, when you send an email, even if you've got all of your settings correct on your side as the sender, sometimes it may end up in someone's spam. Now, there's a number of things that you can do to make sure that you've done everything correct on your end of the spectrum, and I'll take you through those. You do also probably want to have a chat to the person on the receiving end of the email, have them check spam, have them check with their IT department or their IT consultant to see if they're receiving all of their emails okay, because that may be a factor in you not having things arriving safely in their inbox when you want them to. Okay, so how do you check that everything is happening correctly on your side? Well, the easiest way to do that is to head along to a tool called mxtoolbox.com, and this is going to check all of your mailbox settings. So you can go ahead and type in your domain name into MX Toolbox, and that's going to give you a little report and let you know whether or not, first of all, your incoming mail settings are set correctly. So it's going to check your what's called MX records. It's going to give you green ticks there if you've got things configured there correctly. But there's 3 other areas that you actually want to check, and these are your sending settings. You want to make sure that you've got your sending settings correct for that to work. So let's go to first, we'll check SPF. This is the most basic of sending settings. What that does is it makes sure that you've got permission to send on behalf of your domain from the email service provider that you're using. So in our case, we're using Google, and you can see that Google is here on the list of allowed senders. So that means that we can send from Google with our domain name. Great. You can see here there's some other ones like Infusionsoft, Zendesk, other tools that we are using. All right, let's go then and have a look at our next one, DKIM. DKIM is an authenticator. Looks like there may be an issue here, or maybe I need to feed it some information to actually test whether or not it's working. It appears that I do. Okay, I won't bother with that for now. But DKIM is important to set up because that is, let's say, an extra layer of authentication to say that yes, this email is really coming to me from me. Imagine DKIM is a little bit like in the old days when someone sent a letter, when someone sent snail mail and they gave a wax stamp on that. This is a little bit like a wax stamp. It's saying, hey, you know what? This has actually come from us. This has actually come from Google's servers, because someone can pretend to be Google if they want. They could say that they're Google, but this gives the virtual wax seal to say that we are actually sending from an authenticated place. And then the final one is something called DMARC. Now, DMARC is more actually managing the incoming email coming into your domain. It manages and makes sure that no one is spamming. But what DMARC can also do, doesn't seem to be loading here for some reason. Let's try again. Nope, I don't know why, but DMARC doesn't seem to be loading for me. First rule of demos is they don't work. But DMARC, not only says what to do when spam emails are coming into your domain, like how do you handle them, but it also manages if someone's pretending to be you on the internet, how is that handled? Do the emails get quarantined? Do the emails get stopped in their tracks? Do you just get a report into your mailbox about the emails, but no adverse action happens? And so DMARC, think of that as like the email police for your domain. It's going to check anyone in the world pretending to be you, and you're going to have options on how you handle if you find out that someone is pretending to be you, or, of course, if the tool finds out that someone is pretending to be you. Now, if you don't have all 3 of those configured correctly, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, then unfortunately, some email servers will reject your emails. And both Google and other email providers have recently started cracking down on everybody sending, especially bulk email, but any emails on the internet, to enforce that if you don't have these settings set up correctly, well, you need to basically do it. Otherwise, they're not going to deliver your emails. And so what that has resulted in is, unfortunately, some emails just blanket going to people's spam. Now, if you want to have a crack at this yourself, you're very welcome. I wouldn't recommend it. It takes a long time. But if you want to have a crack at this yourself, we actually have a email masterclass. It's a full 30-minute training on how to get your DNS set up correctly. Just search DNS on our channel. You'll see here how to fix and check your DNS and MX records. That is a full half-hour guide on exactly how to set up each one of those that I just mentioned. But if you want to move a little bit faster than that, you can head along to itgenius.com. We cover this in our quick fix product. So head along to the quick fix page. It's 297 Australian dollary dues, which is only 150 USD. Very, very affordable for you to have our team just do it for you. Very easy for our team to, they'll do a check for free if you want before you even have to pay for this. Just jump on a live chat and chat to our team. But if you want us to jump on and fix it, our team are literally waiting right now. They're online. If you click the button here, you go to a checkout page and you can start chatting to our team right now without even having to wait, as long as it's during business hours. And our team will just set this up for you. You send us your DNS records, pay us a couple $100, and we'll get it fixed up for you. So if you're interested in making sure that your DNS settings are correct, or maybe you've got a problem with spam, either emails aren't coming in correctly, or someone's pretending to be you on the internet, or you're sending emails and they're not landing in someone's mailbox, DNS is probably where it's at. 9 times out of 10, it's DNS. You know, I don't know, unless they've got a problem with their mail server on the other end, which is a possibility, but that's pretty rare. Okay, great question. Love that one. Let's move on to our next one. Can you link your to-do or task list with a contact? So you can get a phone number. All my to-dos require me to call someone on that leg of the task. For example, order a starter for a company, and the company is in my Google contacts, but I don't want to keep looking it up. Short answer to this is I'm 99% sure no. And my recommendation here is that if you're using tasks for a sales process or for a customer delivery process or for managing customer relationships, it might be time to start considering a CRM or a customer relationship management system. My recommendation there is, if you've got a bunch of customers that you need to manage relationships with, it's time to have a proper contact database that not only will keep all of your customer information in one place that you can share with your team. If it lives inside your contacts, there are some sharing options for Google Contacts, but it's not ideal. You know, the Google native ones are not great. There's a few third-party plugins, but I've never been wowed by them over the years. But if you've got, for example, a sales team or a customer management team, and you want to actually have a process where you're managing the relationship with your customer and you're moving people through different stages of a deal perhaps, or you want to have an automated reminder if you haven't reached out to a customer in X days, well, that's the time you want to start considering using a dedicated tool for that. Now, I've got, again, lots of videos on the channel on how to choose a great CRM system. If you go to our channel and you search for CRM, go watch a few of those videos. Lots of information on how to make great technology choices for your business and how to make sure that you are choosing something that fits your needs, because there's literally hundreds of customer management systems. We happen to be a global partner with a great small business CRM called Copper. It's deeply integrated into the Google Workspace ecosystem. So if you're interested in that, then we're a good fit for that for Copper, but it's not a great fit for every single business. So have a chat to our team about CRMs after you've watched those videos on the channel and done some research for yourself. All right, wonderful. That's a great question, though. I wish we could do that inside Google. I mean, it's funny, you know, like Google have a lot of great integration between their different tools, right? If you're in a Google chat, you can spin up a meeting with someone immediately just by hitting the meeting button. If you're in Calendar, you can set your out of office, and that's going to appear in email or appear in chat. If someone tries to chat you when you're out of the office, it's going to show up and say, hey, Pete's out of the office today, so don't expect a reply from him anytime soon. I love all those features, but what Google's never really done is ventured into trying to be a CRM system or a customer workflow management system. They're certainly an excellent productivity system, but their workflow features are very, very basic. I'm, enthused to see that there's options like approvals coming into Google Drive. You can put feedback and comments on documents and suggested updates and those kind of things. That's pretty useful. The tasks, for a long time, has led a lot to be desired. I'd say that tasks have come a long way in the last couple of years, and I'm fairly happy with how they are right now. I covered tasks in my last live stream, and we did a bit of a deep dive into where it's at right now and where it's been in the past, where I think it might be going in the future. But right now, tasks I would say are okay, but we use an external task management system to manage our projects because the internal tasks are just not enough. And if you're wanting to choose something that's better than tasks because you really just want to do task management and it's less about managing a sale, so you don't really need a CRM, you're looking at something like Asana or Monday or Trello, Rike, ClickUp. There's so many different options out there. I've got some videos on those products on the channel as well. If you search for Asana or tasks, you're going to find a bunch of videos on that covering my thoughts on great task management and team management inside the business. All right, good question there. Okay, what are we going to do next? Thanks very much. If you're on the live stream, please make sure you say hi. Drop me a little message, say hello, ask a live question if you want to ask a live question. I'm going to see if any questions have come through now. If you want to ask a question on the live, hit up Peter at, it's ask.peter.tv. That's the one. And for some reason that URL's dropped off there. I thought I threw it in there. It seems to have dropped off. That's okay. Yeah, just drop it in. ask.peter.tv, or I think the other one I dropped was ask.itgenius.com. They go to the same place. That'll get you guys access. All right, I'm going to let's look for most recent questions, see if anyone dropped one in today, although it's going to be hard to see now. Okay, can you help me migrate a legacy Google email account from one Workspace account to another? It's only the one email, but I can no longer upgrade the storage on it with Google Workspace's new rules. So I want to transfer it across to the paid Google Workspace domain. That's interesting. I think all you need to do is add a storage, not a storage plan, but add a paid plan to this account. I don't think you need to actually migrate the data, if that's what you're suggesting. So if right now you've got a legacy account and you've run out of space and you want to have that account upgraded to a real bona fide business account, there may be options in the admin panel to manage your account. And if you're not working with a reseller currently, it's pretty straightforward. You head along to your admin panel at admin.google.com. You head along to your billing, and you'll see you've got your subscriptions here. And inside your subscriptions, sometimes you've got to like upgrade, downgrade, add a subscription, change if you're on an individual account, which is one of the like old Google Workspace accounts, or if you're on a, let's say, what do we got there? I think they were called Basic Google Workspace. They're now called Legacy Google Workspace. It used to be called Google for Your Domain or Google Apps in the very, very old days, a decade ago. But if you've somehow still got one of those old free accounts which had like 50 users many, many years ago, those accounts have to be changed or upgraded into a Google Workspace account. Now, you don't have to migrate your data manually, and once you successfully move it to a business account, it should automatically just retain everything you've got, and then you just get all of the features of the business accounts. But if you can't work out how to do that, sometimes we can do that a little bit more easily as a reseller. You see, as a reseller, we can go into the back end of accounts and actually apply a Google business license to those accounts. You share the admin account with us, and then we get it sorted for you. So if you're interested in that, we actually have a free offer. It doesn't cost you anything to do this with us. If you're just doing an account upgrade and it's literally just licenses, as long as you're happy to bill the licenses through us, which helps us out a little bit, our team will actually get this done for you. And that's called a transfer in. So if you head along to itgenius.com, you can initiate a transfer in for free. And this is open to anyone who has a Workspace account who wants to do business with us. If you want to just transfer your license billing across to us, you get a whole bunch of upsides and a whole bunch of perks. And there's no downside because it doesn't cost you any extra. And you get access to our team if you want basic support for your account, completely complimentary, just as a thank you for putting your billing through us. So if you go to products here and then you look for the transfer in billing offer, you can click on to the transfer in offer. All you need to do is fill out the form on this page with your details, and our team will get in touch and help you get transferred into our billing. So if right now you're on a legacy account, if you can't work out how to upgrade it or switch it to a paid account yourself to get access to more storage, you can always reach out to our team. We'll be very happy to do a transfer in with you and welcome you to the itGenius family. Great question though. Cool. All right. Next question. So we need to change the primary domain on our Google Workspace account. Need some guidance on how to do it to ensure we don't lose any data or email connectivity. Yeah, great question there. I've got a whole bunch of videos on this. I think there's like 6 videos on this. If you head to our channel, search for probably the word domain is the best word to search for. Changing primary domain, there's one. Adding multiple domains, replacing a domain, secondary versus alias, multiple business domains, merging 2 workspace domains. Just go and watch each one of those videos and that'll give you an idea of how to do things. If you want this to happen faster, go get a quick fix. Jump on a website, a couple $100, we will change the domain for you. There's actually quite a bit to the process. You've got to set up the new domain, you've got to authorize the new domain, you've got to get all the DNS settings correct, SPF, DMARC, DNS, DKIM, and then you've got to rename all the users, but you've got to do that in a way that your users aren't going to get locked out of their accounts, and you've got to make sure that you handle all of the third-party apps connected to your accounts as well. And be careful not to get locked out of any of those. So if you want some help from experts, we do this all day, every day. It's available under a quick fix support. And so that's just a couple $100, very easy to get access to, 300 AUD, which is very affordable. And our team will project manage that for you, start to finish, on changing your primary domain. That's my strong recommendation rather than doing it yourself, just so you don't run into any boo-boos, potential for lost data along the way. Or worse, bounce backs going to your clients. We don't want that, do we? All right, let's move on to our next question. Getting through all of these at the moment. We used to have to like hassle people to put their questions in here, and now I've got 50 in queue, which is why I'm going to try and do more of these a little bit more often, guys, because, yeah, blimey, we got a lot of questions here. All right. But I love it. I love these, and I enjoy doing the lives too. It's a little bit lonely when I'm by myself, but that's okay. When people say hello, it's a bit more fun. All right. Where is our next one? All right, I'm just going to go ahead and check my recording here. I think the recording may have dropped off and then come back. Oakley dokley. Can I add a subdomain for new users? Yes, you can. Go to our channel, search domain, watch those videos. I've got some tutorials on how to do that. Can a reseller host my DNS? Yes. That's a good one to talk about. Domains and DNS, very important. Let's have a talk about them. So if you're a small business owner and currently you're managing your own domain name, I'm going to assume you've registered it with someone like GoDaddy and they are handling the domain registration. If it's a .com, it's going to be pretty cheap. It's inconsequential, the cost of it. You then have something else, which is called DNS. And DNS is your domain name settings. That lives somewhere else. Well, sometimes it can live in the same place, but it's a different set of settings. So you have your domain name registration, and think about that like a business registration. Think of DNS like your listing in the phone book. That's basically how you tell people where to send email, how you tell people where your website is. Now, quite often those two are in the same place. You have domain name registration and your DNS settings in one place. But sometimes you can have them in different places as well. Sometimes you may have a domain name registered in one place and your DNS settings in a second place. It might be with your web host. If you have a cPanel account and you're hosting your website there, you're probably going to have your DNS there with your cPanel account. If you have an all-in-one website builder like Wix or Squarespace, you may have both of those in one place. Or you might have your domain name registration with GoDaddy and your DNS settings with Squarespace. Now, there's no right or wrong or good or bad way of doing that, but there is a best practice. If you want to register your domain name, going with a big provider is probably a good idea. Even though their support isn't always amazing, if you register your domain name with your web host down the street, in 2 or 3 years, you may not be doing business with that person anymore. And it doesn't always make sense to have your domain name registration with them, especially if they're a very small business, because there's probably no risk in them stealing a domain name, but there is a risk of them maybe not paying their hosting bills and things being cut off. Or like I've seen many times with web developers, they decide they're not interested in web development anymore and they strap on their backpack and go and travel the world. But they can sometimes disappear from their customers at that point in time. And if your domain name expires, well, at a minimum, you may start having bounce backs or downtime to your website when customers are trying to reach out to you. But in the worst case, someone could potentially steal that domain from under your nose, and you definitely don't want that to happen. Now, with DNS, it doesn't matter too much where you put it as long as you're with a reputable vendor, because it's probably going to have pretty decent performance. But you can supercharge where you store your DNS. Using a free provider like Cloudflare allows you to have what's called a CDN, or a content delivery network, sitting in front of your website. Now, this speeds up those access requests to your website. It helps you to secure your domain from certain attacks online. And the good thing about Cloudflare is it's got a really easy to use interface that you can do pretty much everything online. The other cool thing about Cloudflare is if you have a .com or many other global domain names, you can actually do your domain name registration through Cloudflare as well. So you've got it all in one place. Now, Cloudflare doesn't host your website. They can just take care of your domain name registration. Remember, that's like your business registration. Your DNS settings, that's like your listing in the phone book. And your web host is kind of like your letterbox, right? Or Google Workspace would be your letterbox, but your actual website is like, the pretty picture that you paint in the front of your house. That's what people are looking at when they come to your place, when they type in your domain name. That stuff still lives on your web host, or if you're using a builder like Wix or Squarespace, it's going to live there. Now, one of the advantages of working with a partner or working with a reseller like itGenius is we can handle your Cloudflare and your domain registration for free. If you're registering your licenses for your Google Workspace account with us and you're paying your bill through us, you don't pay any extra for the cost of your licenses. However, you do have our ability to manage your domains provided to you for free. And why do we do that? Well, because we earn a couple of bucks on the margin of your Google Workspace accounts. We don't charge you any extra, but we buy it from Google at wholesale. And so we provide this as a free service, even if you're a sole trader or a small business, so you can start building a relationship with itGenius. Hopefully one day you might need us for more help, and that's where our quick fix or our concierge products are available for growing businesses. And so if you want to take advantage of that, you can just jump straight on our website, head to the transfer in offer in the link down below this video. And the transfer in offer will let you transfer your billing to us. And if you want to consolidate everything into one place, so you have one point of responsibility for any web issues, IT issues, or Google Workspace issues, itGenius will be very happy to take on your registration and your DNS settings for free, and even help you change them. If you need to upgrade a website, or you're changing something and you need to move to a new host, or maybe you see some settings inside the Wix or the Squarespace help guides and you don't quite understand them, our team will be very happy to manage any DNS changes on a complimentary basis for your account. Click the link down below to get started. Great question. All right, so next question is how to bulk update user pointing to the new domain. Okay, cool, great question. You can't do this by the Google Workspace admin panel by default. So I'm assuming this person is part of the way through moving a Google Workspace account to a new domain, but you should be able to do that via a script via something called GAM. So GAM, I'll just open that up for Google Workspace, is a command line based tool for Google Workspace. You can download it and do most things via the command line. You've got to be pretty techo to be able to work it, obviously, but that tool is great if you want to do a script that, let's say you've got 500 or 1,000 users and you need to update them all to a new domain name. I'm pretty sure you'll find a parameter to be able to do that inside of GAM. Good question though. Okay, question. Probably time for me to take a little bit of a breather here, guys. We've just reached the 1 hour mark. Let me get a drink. Here's a good question. Nice, easy one. Okay, I can't find share drives in my Google Drive. I don't have it. It's in my personal account. Do I have to upgrade to a business account to access share drives? Short answer, yes, you do. You need to upgrade to Business Standard or Business Plus. If you're on Business, it used to be called Basic. I think it's now called Starter. If you're on Business Starter, you won't get access to the shared drives feature. You need to upgrade. All right. When jobs make you download work email and Google Microsoft Authenticator apps on your personal phone, can they spy on your personal device under the cover of the fine print of a sneaky user agreement? Good question. I get so many questions like this on the channel. There's always one of these questions every time. Let's put it this way. Someone can see your activity as it pertains to the business anytime you have a business workspace account on your device. But they can't see your personal information like your photos or your, let's see, I don't know, your emails in your personal inbox or the text message that you sent someone in WhatsApp. What someone may be able to see if they have a mobile device management app installed in your phone is your location at a certain time. That's certainly personal information. They may be able to see what Wi-Fi network you're connected to. That's personal information. They may be able to see what apps you have installed on your phone. That is personal information. So, people get worried when they put corporate apps on their phone, right? What can these people see and what can these people do? Most corporate management apps do have the ability to wipe a phone, and that's there for security. If you've lost your phone, you've got company data on it, it's fair for someone to wipe the phone and wipe what's on there. I hope you've got iCloud set up and you've got things backed up online, or Google's version of backing up to Google Drive or whatever Android does these days. But it's probably not going to go down that road without your consent, because the device is your device, unless there is a corporate policy in your employment policy that says we have the ability to wipe your phone in the event of a security incident at our discretion without any of your input. Unless it has that, I think you're probably safe. Or unless there's an IT policy inside your company that explicitly states that someone may choose to wipe your phone without your consent, I think you're probably safe. What a company is more likely to do is do what's called a corporate wipe. And a corporate wipe is where they click a similar button, but instead of wiping the whole phone, it just wipes every app, every tracking app, and every piece of corporate information off that phone the next time it connects to the internet. That's what most businesses are going to do to protect their data. Unless you request for them to wipe the whole phone as an option, that's probably an option. Good question. Always get that question. What can my administrators see? And you can search the channel. We've got lots of answers on that too in various forms. All right. Next question. I need some help on how I can contact Google support for my business account. I'm paying for the business account. Any source where I can do a live chat. I'm not able to receive my Gmail emails as my account is still showing active. Okay. If right now you do not have access to your Google account, you can go to Google support. However, the support wait times can vary, and Google's willingness to provide support to accounts can sometimes be challenging, because in some cases they will request a code to verify that you're the owner of an account. And if you're in the instance where you no longer have access to your account, how do you provide that code? Pretty difficult, right? We have a support service which is a lot more easy to deal with than working with Google directly. And that service is called Quick Fix. Now, if you head along to itgenius.com, you click on the Quick Fix button, and if you're currently locked out of your account, or you've broken your DNS records and you're not receiving emails right now, or maybe you just want help with some basic administration like cleaning up and archiving some old user accounts from unused email addresses inside your business, our team are on hand and ready to help you straight away. And we do have a live chat function as well. And so we are there to help with anything to do with your Workspace account. If you need someone to help you instantly, we're there and ready to give you a hand. So if you need to chat to Google, they do actually have chat options. Personally, I haven't used them in a very long time, so I don't know if they're available to everyone or not anymore. But do your best with Google via their standard support channels. If you get stuck, just let us know. We'll be happy to help out. All right, good question. Aha! I finally found the question that somebody asked before the live chat started. Oh, we got some more people on here. All right. Jake, I'm gonna ask your questions. I'm gonna answer your questions first, guys. Okay. I saw your video regarding Dialpad. My company is looking to migrate their email accounts. Oops, no, wrong one. My company is looking into it as a new potential phone system. What are the advantages or disadvantages to using Dialpad? Oh, no worries, Jake. I'm open to all questions and answers here. Look, first up, I'd check out all of the videos on Dialpad on our channel if you haven't already. There's a number of videos there. There are a number of cloud-based PABX systems for Google Workspace. Many years ago when we started working with Dialpad, nearly 10 years ago now, we were the first ones to bring them to Australia, and they were really the first company that really, truly wanted to deeply integrate with Workspace. Funnily enough, they were ex-Googlers who built Dialpad, and they're still building it. These days, there are many options out there that have caught up. There's Ring Central, there's AirCall, there's 8x8, that feature for feature probably pretty similar to Dialpad. The reason why we like Dialpad is it's deeply integrated in the Google ecosystem. I like the mobile app better than any other cloud-based phone system that I've used before. It works across countries and the pricing is very reasonable. So if you have an international team, for example, we have a large team in the Philippines, but most of our customers are in either the US or Australia. We just pay for a US account or an Australian account for those individual staff members that are calling from those respective numbers. It means that we don't have to worry about where our staff are. Anywhere they are, they just use the billing for their number inside their account. We only have to pay for that once. Integrations are great. Works great on the desktop. There's an app. I just use it in the browser because that's the easiest thing for me. I don't make heaps of phone calls these days, so my team use it more than me. But also love Dialpad for the analytics. It gives you really good visibility into who's doing what inside the business. And there's advanced features on top. I don't know if you have to pay for them these days or not, but Voice AI is a feature that is pretty unique to Dialpad. It will listen to all of your calls, and apart from automatically transcribing them, which is nice, it will also, if let's say you're a sales manager or a leader inside a business and want to keep tabs on how your staff are going with their calls with customers, it will also give you what's called sentiment analysis. And so it will tell you that call was positive, that call was negative. That customer was happy, that customer was not so happy. And so that can give you the information that you need to determine whether or not your staff are performing well or not so well on calls. And there are a raft of other sales team driven features in Dialpad that are really unique to the platform. So my recommendation is do a trial, have a play with it. If you want to trial with our team, they'll be very happy to set you up. If you want to buy it, you can buy it through our team. We have discounts available. We have lots of perks for implementing it through itGenius if you want some help. We don't charge any extra for the licenses. In fact, sometimes we can even give you cheaper than the street price. But no harm in having a free consultation with our team. Click on the link down below, book that in, let them know you're interested in Dialpad, and the team will hook you up with a trial if you haven't already trialed it. And if you're interested in licenses, we can help you with that as well. Cool. Let me know if you've got any other questions, any other specific questions about the app. I'll happily answer them for you. All right. Kevin asks, is there a way to create a group with all members in it without needing to add each new user manually? Oh, you know what? There used to be a button that you could click that said add all users to this group. And then Google changed something and it became harder to find the button, but it still existed. and now I don't know if it exists anymore. I'm sorry, but I've lost it. I've lost it. I don't know if you're gonna have to Google. I would have to Google that to work it out. But if you find it, let me know. Drop it in. Drop it in the chat. I won't go to the trouble of Googling it right now. I'll let you Google that one yourself as homework. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if you can find that one. Okay. So this was actually one from our live stream before we started. Anonymous asks, how do folks make the commitment to use the native Gmail site without depending also on an external app on their laptop, like I assume Outlook or Mail? Well, that's a good question. If right now you're stumped as to whether you can use Gmail in the browser or whether you want to use Gmail in the browser and you haven't yet fully committed and made the switch, I've got a number of compelling reasons why you should do that. Now, I will openly admit I'm a Google purist and we wear the Google underpants. We do everything Google as much as possible because we live in the Google ecosystem and we want to show business owners how productive they can be and how, you can breed performance across your teams through fully committing to going all in on Google. But for some, I understand there's a big shift. If you're coming from Outlook or you're coming from Mail, you may like some of the things that you're familiar with in those applications. Now, there's a whole raft of features inside of Outlook like flagging and different ways of giving yourself reminders that are centric to Outlook that don't always translate exactly over to Gmail, and I completely understand that. Google's got a pretty good system of tags, which are called labels, and also being able to star emails obviously gives you the ability to follow up. Snoozing emails to come back to them in the future work great inside of Gmail, but it's not quite the productivity system that Outlook is trying to be. Mail, on the other hand, you're probably most familiar with being able to store all of your emails online and seeing a consolidated inbox with lots of different mailboxes where if you've got a business with multiple brands or you want to keep tabs on multiple mailboxes, well, you can see them all in one place in Mail. Now, that's not something that you can replicate exactly in Google. If you want to forward multiple inboxes to one place, you can do that with Google. But if you literally have different accounts across different businesses, or you have multiple mailboxes that you want other staff to manage, well, you're going to have to open those in different tabs inside the Google interface. So they're the things that people usually find a challenge. And my job previously was to train each one of our customers as we migrated them from either Microsoft or Mail over into the Google world. Now, after thousands of customers and literally tens of thousands of users migrated to Gmail over 15 years of our business, thankfully, I'm no longer flying around the country having to do that one by one, teaching people in their boardrooms. But I did learn a thing or two about how you can make the Google experience great, and hopefully that'll help you to forget what the experience was like using Outlook or using Mail. So let me show you a few of the highlights inside my Gmail. These are the things that I like to show people to get them excited about using Gmail every day, and that'll hopefully convince you to ditch Microsoft or ditch Mail and help you move to exclusively using Gmail. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Gmail here in the browser, and just for kicks, I actually had a problem with one of my plugins, so I'm going to have to go and disable that because it was making it appear all weird. Oh no, there we go. Okay, cool. It's come back. Wonderful. All right. So here we are in my inbox. All right. Oh, we've got a lot to cover. This is exciting. Okay. The first thing for me to cover is that Google are very, very open to third-party apps, integrations, and plugins in their Gmail interface. You get the power of like basically an app store of third-party integrations that can help to enhance your Google experience. Now, one of my favorite ones I'm using right now is something called Inbox When Ready. And you would have noticed when I first opened my inbox, I couldn't actually see anything. This is a handy little plugin for Gmail that you add, inboxwhenready.com. And I think it is, let me check that, Inbox When Ready, before I put that on a live stream. Oops, shit. No, that's not the one. Okay, I checked that. Inboxwhenready.org. My lucky team get to cut that in later. Okay, cool. So Inbox When Ready. And what it does is it lets you compose emails, search for emails, look through your labels if you want to look through your labels, organize emails, all without the distraction of new emails coming into your inbox. This is just one plugin of thousands of plugins that can make your Gmail better. The other great thing about Gmail is because now Google have added the ability to see your different apps on the side pane here, they're effectively bringing all of your Google ecosystem into the one place. And so you'll see here, I have my calendar on the right-hand side. I've got access to my contacts. I can even see my Google tasks if I want to see my tasks. And so everything in my Google world is available with the click of a button. Okay, well, what about on the left-hand side? I can access my chat. And so any of my individual one-on-one chats with my team members are here. If I need to join a Google Meet, I can click one button and jump straight into a meeting. Okay, there's some of the basics of working with Google. But most people start to think, yeah, Peter, but that's all online. It's only in the browser. What if I want to work offline? Well, Google have only a couple of years ago updated their offline access for Gmail to now allow up to 90 days of email to be stored in the browser. And it means that you can access Gmail pretty much everywhere you go and use up to the last 90 days of your history to compose, reply, or send a new email to anyone that you want from the Google ecosystem. To switch that on, you head into your settings, you go to the settings menu, all settings, and then the offline tab. Now, if you don't currently see the offline tab in your business account, you may have to head over to your admin panel and switch on offline access for Gmail. You can do that by searching for offline and looking for the Gmail settings and then enabling offline mode inside the Gmail settings in your admin account. And of course, this is going to ask me to sign in again. That's how I know I've been streaming for more than an hour. I get locked out of the admin panel again. Waiting. Offline. Okay, so you switch on offline and hit save. All right, cool. So that is offline mode. And you may be thinking, Peter, big deal, there's an offline mode. Show me the cool stuff. Okay, let's get into some more of the cool stuff. Everything underpinning Google is their excellence in search, and Google are absolutely the kings. The thing I love about working with Gmail Online is I can search for any email in the full history of my Google account and pretty much instantly bring them up. If I say want to search for emails dating all the way back to 2010, which is 14 years ago, you can see here immediately those emails have popped up from my search. And it's almost effortless how easy Google can bring up old emails. You can see here, that's pretty weird, an email called best positions. Oops, I didn't even have the search show up. Look at that. Let me try that again just so my team have the right B-roll. Date 2010. There you go. Immediately brings up all of those emails without even hesitating. Look at this one. Best positions in bed. What could possibly be in there? Ah. That's so funny that someone sent this to me. Remember that? Remember 15 years ago when people used to forward emails to each other? That's like just disappeared from our culture. Now we just forward. Oh my God! Forwarding Instagram memes is the new forwarding emails. We just literally hit the forward button. I just realized that out. I just realized that. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's the date search. Now, the other really cool thing that Gmail does is something called search stacking. And once you learn how to do this, you will never go back to the old search in Outlook or in MacMail. Now, I first start by typing somebody's name. So I'm going to type the name of a good friend of mine, Mr. Dale Beaumont, right? So I start typing their name, and you can see here that their email address is automatically pre-filled, right? So I just hit the tab button because it's using its AI automatically pre-filled that email address. But then I type in, let's say, for example, the word workshop. I'm going to put in a keyword, right? So I'm going to put in the keyword workshop, and you'll see here, ta-da, any email between myself and my good friend Dale mentioning the word workshop. Some of those go all the way back to 2013. It's instantly brought that up. And let me show you exactly how many emails Google has searched to find these emails. I'm going to go to my all mail folder, which shows me every single email that's come in and out of my business for the last 15 years. In the all mail folder, there is 630,000 emails. 630,000 emails. Yet Google can find an email from 15 years ago in half a second. It's insane. Google gives you the ability to find almost any email easily. And if I want to stretch the search a little bit further, I can always use the advanced search by clicking the button up the top here and putting in manual search parameters in different areas. And let me share something that's probably going to fry your noodle. If the search is this good, why do I need to bother with folders? Why would I ever bother filing my emails into folders when I can just search for emails from a particular person or a particular project or a particular date and find those emails instantly? So once you learn how to do a few of those little basics with search, your experience of Gmail completely changes for the better. And I know that I can also do this on my mobile device as well using the Gmail app. Now, if you set up Gmail in the Apple Mail app, you should probably switch over to the dedicated Gmail app and use that as your default, because you get access to all the same power here. And once I learned those few basics around search and how to, manage the things in Gmail that are the googly way of doing things, like archiving instead of deleting emails so I can always search them if I want in the future, or let's say adding an email to multiple labels, which effectively tags it in multiple places. I never wanted to go back to Outlook or Macmail again because it just couldn't hold up a candle to Google. Some of the integrations into the rest of Google's ecosystem are absolutely stellar. Like if I go to send somebody an email and their out of office is switched on in their calendar, it's going to let me know not to expect an email from that person because they're currently out of the office. And I love these features because Google are just making it easier to do work based on the context of everything else happening in the Google workflow, based on the context of everything happening in the Google Workspace account. Big thumbs up, Google. All right, if that hasn't convinced you, you can't be saved. Sorry, that's it. I've done my absolute best. But I hope that helps with that question, and my team, I'm sure, will cut that up and put some clickbait in front of it and get that out there to the interwebs. All right. So many questions I've answered have been short here, so I'm given my producers nothing. I'm giving them nothing to use. I can tell Georgia, who's our lead producer on these, is just watching this going, F you, Pete, where's the content? I don't care, I'm answering questions, that's my job. Okay, here's another question. Should I save my files on the desktop and then upload them to Google Drive, or should I create them directly on Google Drive and then access them from my desktop using Sync? Good question. My strong preference for all things in the Google world is to try and do things using the Google format documents. Now by that I mean Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. It's, in my opinion, much more powerful to work with Google format documents rather than anything in the Microsoft world, because you not only get all the benefits of the live and real-time collaboration, which helps when you're working with multiple team members, particularly in remote teams that are geographically distributed, but Google's got all of their cool features added on top that are AI and machine learning driven that help you get more out of your documents. And these really help you to have a interlinked and productive experience of documents that feel more like an app than they do just document processing. Things like linking to a task from a document and having that task arrive in somebody's task list, that's pretty darn cool. Things like having a spreadsheet linked to multiple spreadsheets live and pull in real-time data and have that data automatically updating graphs and charts, which could then be embedded live into a slide presentation and kept up to date anytime that data changes. These are all just part of the experience of working with Google Documents, and they're just part of the Google format. But if you have to work with something outside the Google ecosystem, maybe that's a PDF, a video file, or God forbid, something in the Microsoft format, well, yes, the best place to save them is into your Google Drive. And rather than manually using the Google Drive in the browser and downloading them and then re-uploading them, even though there is one small advantage like version control being added automatically when you drag and drop files, this and all of the features of working online works offline when you install the Google Drive Sync app to your desktop. Now, it doesn't include a small security risk. If you're downloading a local copy of files, you need to make sure that your computer is well protected. You want to make sure there's some kind of endpoint management protection there, protecting you from spyware and viruses on that device. And of course, you want to make sure that you've got a password policy so no one can just pick up that computer, open the lid, and see all of your local files. But the advantage of having your Google Drive installed via the app is that you have the ability to open your files directly from the Google Drive app. It's going to save a cached copy down to your desktop. But when you're authoring or creating new files, you'll probably be more likely to be in the habit to save them straight into your Google Drive, and that's going to synchronize them online. I find that anytime I'm working in any sort of project file, if I want to save that, I immediately save it to my Google Drive diligently because I know it's going to be backed up and saved. And unfortunately, while we may intend to keep our local backups up to date of data sitting on our computer, I know that not everyone plugs in that backup drive from time to time, and sometimes we just outright forget. And if something was to happen to your computer, which to me, hey, I've just lost my microphone. Hopefully that's still there. Let me check my audio. Yeah, it's still there. Okay. I know that in my own case, I've spilled a glass of wine on my laptop before. I had one stolen from my car. I had an air conditioner drip and fill up a whole keyboard with water on me. This does happen from time to time. And unfortunately, in that case, anything on that computer that wasn't properly backed up disappears. If I'm diligently saving things to my Google Drive, I know that they're going to be safe and backed up. So my recommendation is yes, that you enable saving straight into Google Drive by downloading the app. Now, there is one caveat to this, and this is that if you're running a distributed team across different localities and you've got staff in different geographical locations and they've got their own computers, BYOD we call it in the industry, bring your own device, well, you may not have control over what that person is doing with that computer. They may not have set up a password, although most operating systems prompt you and basically force you to set a password these days. They may have a computer in a shared environment where their kids are using it at mealtime or after meal, probably not at mealtime, after mealtime. They've got, maybe their computer being used in a public space and there's risks to someone else getting access to it, potentially stealing it, potentially getting access to the data that's on it, or maybe they're just browsing to nasty websites and they download something that starts logging and scooping up the information that's on the computer. Having Google Drive download your company data to their desktop is a risk, and so you may choose only to allow this for certain staff inside your business or inside your organization. In that case, you may want to enable a policy called device approvals in your admin panel in your Google Workspace. And that's a good idea if you're a business owner who wants to be careful about what devices can actually access your Workspace account. So to do that, we jump into our Google Workspace admin panel. That's at admin.google.com. And we're going to search for device approvals and find the security settings for device approvals, if I can find it. I think it's this one. Nope, that's not the one. Where is it? Here we go, settings. So navigate to devices, mobile and endpoints, universal settings, and security. And you'll see here that you can switch device approvals on. Now, this is only available for certain Google Workspace plans and accounts. You may need to upgrade to get access to this feature, but this allows you to quarantine any new requests for a device to get access to your company data and be approved one by one. Very useful feature. Okie dokie, what have we got next? Do you have a video on the conflict of having Google consumer account and then trying to unsuccessfully create a Workspace account? I got a personal Gmail and a business email on my own domain, but when I go to set up Workspace with my business email, I get a consumer account conflict. That's interesting. I know what that is. So you've signed up to YouTube and using your business account and you get orphaned accounts. I haven't seen this in so long. My team deal with this all the time. I can't demo anything for you, which kind of sucks. There is a method. I don't have a video on it. I'm sorry. My team will fix this. My team will fix this for you, but you got to buy a quick fix. It's a couple $100. It's on the website. Head to itgenius.com, and our team will suss it out. Our team will suss it out for you. Go to the quick fix page. 300 AUD. Very affordable if you're on USD, and our team will just fix it for you. It's probably the easiest thing in lieu of me having an explanation or a demo for you. Sorry about that. I haven't touched one of those in about a decade myself. I know you just click a button. I just don't know which button it is that you click. Sorry about that. Okay, but we'll find a video. We'll make a video. We'll make a video. All right. I want to my from drive. What the? I want to my from my drive. Oh, maybe it's migrate. I want to migrate from my drive all contents about 2 terabytes to a shared drive and start using that for the law firm. I can't have more than 24 hours of downtime. Team of 25 lawyers and paralegals around supporting staff. How this transfers take with all the same business account. Cool. Do it progressively. If right now you have a large amount of data sitting in your My Drive and you want to migrate that to a shared drive, few caveats with that. I'm pretty sure I've covered this in a video on the channel. Let me search shared drive migration. I'm pretty sure I've covered it. Oh. This is, yeah, it's a really common one. I swear we did this one. Okay, in lieu of a video, because I can't find an obvious one, when you copy files, you want to be the super administrator. B, you want to do it in batches. So ideally, there's no real downtime. There shouldn't be downtime. The file URLs don't change, the individual file URLs. So if they're linked anywhere, they shouldn't change. But number 3, you will run into problems if you don't own the files. So if someone has created the file and they're off domain, they're outside your domain, you won't be able to migrate those files in to your new shared drive. So you may end up in a situation where you drag and drop a folder and not all the stuff moves, because you've got someone outside the business who's the owner of those files, and that person is the person who has to actually change the ownership into the shared drive. So it's a bit of a bummer. We may create a video on that. If we haven't already, we'll have our producer have a look at that. If we don't currently have a video, we'll make one for you on that, on covering that process, because I know a lot of people get stuck there. If you want our team to suss it out, we do these all day long. If you just want to pay a couple $100 and have our team just manage that whole process for you, so you're not stuck doing it yourself, so there's less downtime, just reach out to our team. They'll be very happy to help you out with it. That's the kind of thing we'll cover under a either, I'm not sure if we do it under Quick Fix or if it's under like Concierge, but just have a chat to our team and they'll help you out. Okay, good question though. All right, I think it might be last question time. Say hi if you're on the live stream. If you haven't yet said hi. Wow, look at that, nearly 2 hours. We are killing it today. Okay. Good news. As a valued Google Workspace customer, your organization now has access to AppSheet included at no additional cost. What are the next steps? What can be done with AppSheets and how to do it? Okay, so Graham is asking about AppSheet and whether or not he should use it. My opinion on AppSheet is this. Unless you're a large business, and by large I mean, at least 20 to 30 staff, but at least you're a big small business, or what we would call a mid-market size company, and you have internal engineering resources or operation resources with technical engineering background, I probably wouldn't jump into AppSheet yourself. The reason for that is AppSheet is effectively an engineering product. It's billed as no code, low code, easy to use, anyone can do it, but you're effectively engineering things. You're thinking about databases, you're thinking about fields, you're building interfaces, you're thinking about UX and UI. And it is a fantastic, wonderful product, but you can easily sink tens or even hundreds of hours into building things for your business that someone then needs to maintain. And so what you're taking on is technical debt with AppSheet. And when you take on technical debt for your business, you need to manage that technical debt. So do you have the internal technical discipline to manage that internal debt is the first question you should ask yourself before even bothering to sign into AppSheet. Now, this isn't even a sell. I've got plenty of sells on this channel. That's not even a sell. We don't build stuff in AppSheet. I think our team might if you ask them nicely, but we don't have much experience in building things in AppSheet for customers because we find it's typically large organizations that have internal IT engineering teams that are the ones that have the resources to be able to actually execute a project with AppSheet. I think AppSheet is wonderful as a product. I think it's wonderful that it's deeply integrated into the Google ecosystem. I think it's wonderful that Google have made it available to so many people and so many workspace accounts. But I would be very careful about recommending a small business owner or operator from jumping into that unless you have an IT degree and you have nothing else to do in the business except for engineering. So that's my thoughts on AppSheet and whether or not you should jump in. I think I'm going to leave it there. Oh, but we have a question here from someone on the live. Brag, thank you for joining. RDH from Memphis, Tennessee, welcome. Thanks for being here. Must be probably pretty late in the evening for you because it's late afternoon here and I'm on Perth time at the moment. Brag Bag is the user. Why can't we save Adobe files on Google Drive? Is there a way to? You should be able to. If this is like a Photoshop file, you should be able to. I know there's certain packages that you can't save, like if it's a Pages document from Apple or a .numbers document. Maybe you're referring to an Adobe file that has a like a weird. It's a bit technical, but it's like a folder based bundle for the package. Unfortunately, that's just a limitation of Google Drive if that's the case. I do know that our team use some Adobe products, like they use Premiere for some of their editing. We will just export a project, and I think it exports it to a zip or exports it to a folder, and the folder can be added into Google Drive. It's not perfect, but it does at least work. If you can zip the file and throw it in, you can. It's just one of those things where Google have unfortunately chosen for something to be non-compatible, and all we can do is wait and hope and pray and find the upvote feature request in the Google Help forums and vote for them to do something about it. Cool. Live streaming more than worth it. Your videos have been key to our business growth. Thank you. Wonderful. I'm really glad. Thanks for being here. Yep, great to have you guys here. It's really boring when I'm by myself. So so thanks for saying hi. If you're watching the repeat, say hi in the comments. Please let me know that you love this because yeah, we make it important. And bring your questions, guys. We've been thinking about doing some live consultations. If you're interested in that, drop me a message. Head along to peter.tv. My personal website is there. And if you go to peter.tv and you drop me a message on Facebook or Instagram or whatever your chosen social media of choice is, if you would like to do a live consultation with me on the channel, I actually want to do some live consultations. So we can talk about anything business, workspace. It'll be free. You won't have to pay for it. We'll just be, creating content and sharing that with other people. So yeah, if you're interested in that, drop me a message. We're taking applications now for the first people that we're going to do for live consultations. And we just want to make this useful and engaging Our business is very successful. We've got lots of customers, but obviously there's millions and millions of small business owners in the world, and we want to help more small business owners with our service. So, whether you're paying for us or not, even if you're just watching stuff on the channel and just learning, that's cool with us. We've also got lots of free trainings being released soon as well. So, we just want to give and give as much as we can, share that with you guys. And we know that some people will become customers, and that's awesome. We thank you, and I thank you personally for being a part of the audience if you're watching this. So thanks for being here. All right, another question. They keep flowing, of course. When I'm planning on wrapping up, now all the questions come. Thank you for joining, and thanks for asking all the questions. So, how do you clone the vocal section of a song with a piano sound to make a video that the orchestra is playing in the background as instrumental and the piano plays as a vocal? Okay, well, that's not really a workspace question, but I used to do a bit of music production, funnily enough. I think you would use a... vocoder. Do you use a vocoder for that? I don't know. It's been a decade since I did any digital music production. I'd take that question, I would throw that into ChatGPT or to Gemini, and I reckon you'd get a better answer than I'm able to give you on that. Okay, thanks. That's all, folks. I'm going to wrap it there. Make sure you join the next one. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up if you like this. It helps the algorithm. And if you're not yet following along, if you want to connect with me on social media, head to peter.tv. Connect with me there. If you've got any follow-up questions, drop them in. ask.peter.tv or ask.itgenius.com, whatever your flavor. Both of those work. Drop in your questions, and we will cover them hopefully in the next one when I can. I've got a big backlog of questions, so we're doing these every fortnight. But thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.